right. Good evening, everyone. I'm calling the December 17th meeting to order. Please, while I have your attention, please silence your phones and devices to make sure they don't interrupt our flow of business. And now, if you would like, please join me in a moment of silence. Thank you. And now, if you're able, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mr. Smith.
Good evening, everybody. Just a few announcements for you this evening. So Commissioner Elaine Powell will host a North MEC priorities meeting to provide Mecklenburg residents with an opportunity to speak about their priorities and concerns with their elected district representative on Thursday, January 23rd, 2025. That will be from 6 p.m. to 7:30 p.m., and it will be held at the Northern Regional Recreation Center, which is at 18121 Old Statesville Road in Cornelius. Also with Mecklenburg County, they are launching their strategic planning for community development funding. It's their 5-year consolidated planning process as required by the Department of Housing and Urban Development Community Block Grant Program. They're gathering input for how the federal dollars should be allocated. There are 2 chances to come out and join them for this. So the first community visioning workshop will be on January 9th from 6 to 7 p.m. at the North County Regional Library, and that's at 16500 Hollycrest Lane here in Huntersville. And the second community visioning workshop will be on January 16th, 2025 from 6 to 7 p.m. And that will be at the Bell Johnston Community Center, which is at 1000 Johnston Drive in Pineville, North Carolina. Our police department and fire department took several groups of very deserving children to Target and Walmart to help check off their Christmas lists. We would like to thank Target and Walmart as well as our local businesses who made this event a success. HPD has put this on their Facebook page, and you can check out a lot of really great photos from these 2 events. And just for everybody's information, town offices will be closed for the Christmas holiday from December 24th through December 26th. And offices will also be closed on January 1st, 2025 in observance of New Year's Day. This will affect garbage collection. Waste Connections observes Christmas Day and New Year's Day as holidays. So if your regularly scheduled collection day falls on either Christmas Day or New Year's Day, your collection will be delayed by 1 day. And always a reminder to connect with us. You can visit our website, sign up for our newsletter, download our app, or follow us on social media to hear about everything we have going on. Any questions?
Questions? All right, thank you. All right, item 6A.
Well, I will stay right up here with you. It is my honor to get up here and recognize our fall 2024 class of Huntersville 101. Huntersville 101 is our civic education program where residents come and learn about everything the town does in great detail. So they joined us for 7 sessions to learn about administration, finance, planning, transportation, engineering, public works, parks and recreation, police, and fire. And we spent most of September, October, and November together going through everything that departments do. It is a huge time commitment for our residents to join us for our civic education program. I am always pleased and honored when they choose to do so because everything we do as employees of the town is for our residents. And so to have them engage with us on this level is an honor for me, and I know it's an honor for all of our department heads too. So at this time, I will recognize all of our graduates who graduated the program. We have 9 total who graduated this time around. Only a few could be here tonight just because of the holiday vacations, traveling for family, everything like that. So I will go through the list, and if you are in the room, please come up and get your certificate and stay up at the front. Just stand right there, and we'll take a photo with the board when everybody's been called. So first up, Pam Escobar. And then we have Patricia Langevin. I do not see her here. Joanna Newman. Then we have Becca Pritchard. I don't think she can make it tonight. Scott Sittler. Kimberly Strickfaden, also traveling. Brittany Sidor is also traveling, but that's okay. We want them recognized anyway. Jamie Weidman. And Deanna Whitawalker. And at this time, if you guys would just stand up behind them, I'll go out and take a photo.
All right, congratulations, Huntersville 101 graduates. We appreciate your involvement with the town. We have item 6B, Ms. Vicki Miller from the North Carolina League of Municipalities. You can take the podium.
Good evening. My name is Vicki Miller with the North Carolina League of Municipalities. I'm the Director of Learning and Development with the League. And good evening, Board of Huntersville. Thank you, Mayor. My name, again, Vicki Miller, and we have a program called Commit to Civility, and that program is geared for boards, municipal boards across the state to engage in a multi-level process. One, training, a 2-hour training on principles related to civility and best practices for better local governance, and individual pledges for board members to sign after the training based off of their belief and commitment to civility. And then 3, a resolution that the board passes that embraces the training, the principles related to civility at a level of at least 75% board participation. If you don't meet those criteria, you do not get the designation of Commit to Civility. It is indeed my pleasure and honor to say and to recognize that your board, Town of Huntersville Board, has completed the steps at 100%. And can we give them a round of applause for that? And I would also like to add, they are in exclusive company. They are only the 3rd community across the state that has met the criteria for this designation. And again, we appreciate the leadership, the dedication to civility, and the principles related to that. And on behalf of the League of Municipalities, on behalf of the president of the League, Mayor Pro Tem Mark Anthony Middleton, our executive director, Rose Vaughn Williams, again, congratulations to the board of Huntersville. And they will be honored, as many of you, if you can attend our City Vision Conference in April in Greenville, you will be recognized officially there on behalf of the League of Municipalities. So with that, thank you so much. Thank you, Mayor, and it was my pleasure to be with you.
So much. Okay, we have a handful of public comments. We will start with Harold Hudson. Is Jill Van Zant here? Jill Van Zant in the room? No? Okay. Right, she has to be present. Oh, okay, thank you. And then Jane Gazakis, thank you for helping with that. Okay, you have 9 minutes. Harold, just state your name for the record, please.
Okay, my name is Harold Hudson, owner and resident at 10019 Ansonboro Square in Huntersville for 17 years. I've been a resident of Huntersville since 1986. So I want to come and speak as HOA co-president of our board, served there for a number of years, most actively since I retired in 2017. I've been given 9 minutes to speak. It's a little bit dangerous because I'm a retired preacher. But this should be shorter. I'm going to try to do my best to speak on behalf of our community. So I retired in 2017 as a clergy person after 37 years. 25 of the last years were served as a healthcare chaplain with hospice and palliative care Charlotte region, and my last assignment was over at LDHH in the park. I want to offer my remarks in the spirit of the season, with the hopes of encouraging us to be good neighbors as we deliberate on the approval or denial of the applicant's request. The golden rule, as I think everybody knows, is fairly universal concept applicable to the ethics and moral challenges of being good neighbors. So applied to tonight's decision, I want to ask us all to consider how each of the parties involved can be involved as good neighbors. The town of Huntersville, the developer, and our residents at Meeting Street Townhomes at Rosedale. I remember in my seminary training 40 years ago that the golden rule is pretty tough to put into practice and to understand, and everybody looks at it different ways, and it's subject to some fairly humorous interpretations, like do to someone else before they do it to you, or those with the gold rules. Those with the gold make the rules. We hope that's not the case. So it's in that spirit of trying to figure out how to be neighborly that I want to begin by saying that I believe that the developer most certainly has the right to build the townhomes as he wishes on Lot 35. He's a great builder. Everybody knows his work in the community. But I also want to say that the right to build implies obligations and involves limitations and responsibility, not only to Mr. Roy's business, but to the town and to those of us who live in the community. So while I approve of this, I'm going to get a different spirit in the room, and that is the one of Festivus. And, Festivus for the rest of us. So part of Festivus, a little early for Festivus, is the airing of grievances. And I hope I do this in a kind way, but I'm going to list my grievances, 5 of them, and I believe I pretty much reflect the feeling of our community in doing so. We really would need some assurance that the potential water issues will be remedied. We've had flooding in the backs of our units due to inadequate drainage. One of our units, as originally built, was missing a drain. We want to be sure that the impenetrable surface water will be properly drained. That's number 1. Number 2 is we're concerned for privacy and safety. We would like the builder to put up fencing around the back of his units. Good fences make good neighbors is another bit of wisdom. And we would prefer not to have to look from the back when we come in at garbage receptacles, lawn furniture, toys, grills, etc. Number 3 is we would hope for, although probably not going to happen, that the construction materials will enhance the aesthetics and the value of our property. We obviously would prefer brick to hardy plank, but I understand that's going to cost more. Number 4, accessibility to our back alley. I think a previous statement has been made that we will not have access to the back alley, our private alley, where our mailboxes are. And it's not just about the mailboxes. If we have access to Rosewood Meadow Lane, we have access to the shopping area behind. We have a shorter walk down to the sidewalk where we can go down to the really wonderful new dog park and kiddie park. I like to take my granddaughter down there sometimes, and it would really shorten the way to walk down there. So it's not just about the mailboxes. We would really like to have access to that back area. And number 5, more of a grievance, I suppose, but we want to feel like we can have a better trust with the builders, making the assumption that this new community would like to be, in the future, possibly joining our HOA. We would like to have some history before that decision is made, that this current project will exceed the quality of the current buildings that we live in due to history of structural and drainage issues, poor landscaping. We need and would hope for responsible, transparent communication in planning this, especially regarding the future of Lot 34, which I don't know about that, but Mr. Roy owns Lot 34 and 35. Now, there are fences that need to be built, we believe, and there are fences that need to be mended. Many of our residents, myself included, have taken a little bit of offense at the fact that Mr. Roy's 2 properties, his 2 lots, 34 and 35, have been taken care of us at absolutely no expense to him for more than 20 years. We have spent a lot of money maintaining his properties at no expense at all to us. Never any offer of support for that. So we've had some beautiful trees in that center section. We've had to have them pruned. We have a contract with a mowing company. And like I say, there's some, quite frankly, some resentment there. I would not be truthful if I didn't say that. So we also there is a Rosedale Masters Association that includes a building that we think is improperly built because of its relationship to ownership of acreage, which Lot 34 and 35 have been factored into that. So again, we've been taxed, you might say, on property that we don't own. I have spent years trying to get this straightened out. We would really appreciate our new neighbor helping us with that. We need to resolve this issue with the builder and for the sake of our community and, as I say, being a good neighbor. Okay? So thank you so much for your time and attention, and I made it.
Thank you. Amy Hallman, you're up next. You have 3 minutes.
Sorry, I was writing your name down. Amy Hallman, Huntersville. Any general TC rezoning is bad for downtown. It doesn't speak to the incremental plan of the 2040 nor the downtown master plan, and we can't assume these petitioners will be the actual developers, and we can't assume their ideas will come to light. We just don't know. Please don't make a decision based on a motion for a petitioner when such a decision goes way beyond that. TC rezoning general is forever. With no submitted plans, nothing keeps a property owner from pulling up stakes and selling with a stepped-up property value. And general rezoning allows the next and the next owner into perpetuity to do whatever they want, whether or not it aligns with the town goals, the neighbors, or the elementary school less than a hop, skip, or a jump away. No application expressed a desire to change use to a restaurant, and 117 already is. No application expressed a change to any business possibility at all. One says to single-family home, and the other says to permitted TC uses. While these 2 properties are in complete different conditions structurally and physically and have both remained vacant since the applicants purchased them in June 22 and December 22, both have worked with the plan designer and the town staff dating back to at least early 2023. Where are those plans? The 2 recent pullings out of the petition, not any of the emotional stories, nor any of the emotional stories tonight, changed the material fact that the petition should not have been brought forward. Each parcel should be individual and conditional. The town of Huntersville has no precedent for citizen-led, non-contiguous, multiple parcel general rezoning, much less in our downtown. For the town's perspective, nothing stands in the way of either of these properties from being a restaurant right now in our zoning. Please let them provide proof of concept on these key parcels within the view of a school. Allow them to come back with a conditional TC request with a business plan and conditions that show good faith with our downtown community in Huntersville. They encourage small business opportunities here with grants and less costly ways for small business owners to apply for conditional zoning, but the general rezoning is not it. A yes vote to this petition as is a yes vote to bringing unknown businesses without parameters, including business hours, and says to residents, if the music is too loud and the quality of life declines, call the police. We hope the intrusion's still going on when they arrive. The onus should not be on the residents. The nuisance ordinances were removed from the zoning ordinances this year. Why? The planning board overwhelmingly favored conditional rezoning, 7-1. Board member Michael Pollard said, there is value in general rezoning when you know the probability of the outcome is very high, you know the likely type of structures and development that will occur. But when you have a central district, which is core to your downtown, which is historic, I think we need to look at it through a much tighter lens. It's no one we could afford to make mistakes on. You can make a mistake in an industrial park, but not in your historic downtown. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Jeff Sny, you're up next. You have 3 minutes.
Good evening. Jeff Sny, Huntersville Planning Board Chair. First, I just want to use just a couple of seconds of my allotted time to those that went through the Huntersville 101 program. Kudos to you. It's been, I don't know, I probably did it in 2014. It's been a long time, but there is no reason that that program should not have a wait list every time it's offered. So it's just that important. You learn so much and helps you be a better part of the community. So anyone that's listening that hasn't done it yet, I certainly encourage that. I'm here before you this evening just to speak from a planning board perspective regarding our 24-09, so the general rezoning. The reason, I don't normally come up after we've already had our meeting to discuss something, but given the changes to the rezoning, specifically the applicants, 2 of them dropping out, while I won't speak for the rest of my board, I can tell you that my vote would have been different, and I'll clarify on that. The first motion that was made that evening was a motion to approve. I did not vote for that for particular reasons. The second motion that we had was a motion to deny. I didn't agree with the parameters that were put around that, so I also didn't vote for that. So I know that that looks a little odd that I went against both of them. I did have my reasons, but what I would say is now as it is before you with these 2 specific parcels, I would not have had any problem supporting it at the time. So I would certainly caution as well, looking at how our vote went, because what we voted on was different. Now, as you will hear during the presentation of that, that has been discussed, the difference, with legal and planning staff, and it was determined to be right that it's in front of you this evening, even though 2 applicants have dropped out. So I just wanted to share that. Some of my rationale for why I'd be okay with it has to do with the parcel size, the side of the street it's on, believe it or not, because that side is all in the PA2, which places additional limitations on the parcels themselves. And so with that, you can only end up with so much. And that is our downtown that is directly adjacent to town center. And we know both when we did the 2040 plan and as we've been doing this for a while, we know what our downtown is doing. We know what the growth of our town is doing. So it does make sense to have that in there. But again, that is just how I would have voted at the planning board meeting that night, not the rest of my board. Thank you.
Item number 7, do we have any agenda changes or a motion to adopt the agenda?
Motion to adopt the agenda.
May I have a second?
A second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please raise your hand. Any opposed? Item number 8, may I have a motion to adopt the consent agenda?
I would like to make a motion to adopt the consent agenda.
May I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please raise your hand. Any opposed? Thank you. We have no public hearings this evening. Item number 10A, discuss current medic contract and consider negotiating new terms. Commissioner Walsh and Chief Totoli.
Good evening. Thank you for having me. Let me make sure I'm checked out on this a little. We're going to give you a quick overview of the medic contract and what's been going on with medic, so you basically everybody understands where we're at. So if Ms. Clark calls 911 right now from her cell phone, she'll go down. It'll go down to a 911 operator in Charlotte, and she'll have 3 choices: police, fire, and medic. Once she decides where that's going to go, obviously medic's dispatch, police are dispatched, or the fire department and medic. Or sometimes it's all 3 of us, depending if it's a 911 call and she hangs up. So when we talk about medic, because everybody knows what's going on with the police and fire here in Huntersville, I mean, there's no reason to go into that, but medic is a governmental agency. It was formed in 1996, and it's part of the county as well as the hospital system. So it reports to the county, but at the same time, it does have a body of Atrium Health hospital residents, employees that sit on their boards. Funded-wise, we're going to look at the 2 funding situations here. So medic budget is about $62 million. When we talk about the fees for service directly from patients, that brings in about $40 million on its own, and the other 22 is from the county. When we talk about the fees, we had a firefighter about a couple months ago. She sprained her ankle at a fire. We couldn't transport her ourselves, so we called medic, and obviously we got a bill in the mail, about $1,200 to go from up the road here to the Presbyterian Hospital here in Huntersville. And that's the fee that they charge just to ride in the medic truck. Now, nothing was done to her, but she needed a ride. Now, if you get into pushing drugs and other forms of what they have to use, well, the bill will go a little higher. But that's when we talk about fees for service, that's what we're getting. Because they do charge you. When we go on fires or police department shows up at any event, it's paid by our taxpayers. We don't send you a bill, but medic, that's how they make their money. So $62 million. When we talk about medic not directly handling calls, we talk about, someone's in a serious car wreck out here at the corner and you're just going to get a fire apparatus because we might have to cut the person out of the car, and it's going to get a medic truck to transport that patient, to and from the medic units or to the hospital. Whether, we go on certain calls, such as, people shot, stabbed, anything that could happen, you're going to get not only a medic truck, but you're going to get a fire truck. And those are the serious calls. There's also calls that we're going to talk about that fire gets dispatched on, but we don't really need to be there. And that's really what we're here, but because of a medic contract that we have, we're kind of, we're putting a little in a bind. And we're going to discuss that as we go through the contract part. So medic, we're going to talk about medic issues. When I talk about patient care, I want you to understand that the men and women that work for medic and the police department and fire department, all those first responders, they do an excellent job. It's that part, when you're in that ambulance and you're in their care, perfect. They do a great job. It's fabulous. Patient care is when we show up at a scene and, you have Ms. Clark called for an ambulance at her house and she didn't get an ambulance. Fire department showed up. What are you doing here? Well, we were dispatched, so we came here. Well, I didn't want you. I need a ride to the hospital. So patients get really mad. They get even worse time when we talk about response times and they're waiting 20, 30 minutes for these ambulances. It frustrates people. And you can imagine, as a firefighter sitting there on scene, we just doing our job. They sent us. Medic contract. Why did we get sent? Because the medic contract says we'll dispatch you whenever and wherever we want. It's wording like that me and Emily and looked over the contract that I think there's maybe some changes that need to be made. Reimbursement rates. We're going to go into this pretty deeply. I'll remind you you're on camera, so when your jaw hits the ground, keep it up when we talk about that. So the current contract, 2017, when I was the fire chief of the incorporation, I signed it. It's still in effect as of today. It says Huntersville Fire Department Corporation. The town of Huntersville does not have a medic contract yet, and this is why we're bringing it to you, because we feel it should be in the municipality's name. We're all one now. We're no longer an incorporation. Some of the wording that's in the contract, like automatic renewals with no termination, 180-day notice, which to cancel the contract. Well, when 2017 was around, things were different. Things were a lot slower. Gas prices were a lot cheaper, and fuel prices were a lot cheaper, and a lot of things changed. But when we signed the 2017, and I signed it, and it says it's going to renew every year, and you can't change it. Well, I can't change it until you help me, and we give them notice. So what it's doing to the fire department, and I'll even bring police department in with us. We're dispatched to that call that we just talked about, and we're sitting there 20, 30 minutes, waiting for this medic truck to come from Harris Boulevard, Sunset Road, doesn't matter. They roam around Mecklenburg County. There's no stations like you see it here with the fire department. It causes a burden. It's a fire truck that's out of service, and our taxpayers pay for police and fire. So when Mr. Walsh goes in a fire at his house, and he finds out that fire truck is sitting with somebody else that has a toe ache because I can't abandon that person, he's going to be very mad. He's going to be pissed, and that's what we're seeing out there. And it's not our fault, but they have us over a barrel, and we're hoping that we could change stuff like that. It's wording changes that are in the contract that we talked about. I mean, I don't think that's a great contract when you're telling people they call us assistants in their world of EMS. I'll dispatch you whenever and wherever, and you're going to go. Guess what happens when the storms come in? Guess what happens when the ice storms come in, the hurricanes come in, and we get very, very busy doing what we need to do, clearing trees, going the power lines down, the fire alarms are coming in, and they hold that paper over our head, says, well, I dispatched you on someone's arm was hurting. Why didn't you go? Our ISO rating, which we all talked about in the past, our insurance rating, they don't look at medical calls. We can never run a single medical call here today, tomorrow, every day. They look at the amount of responses that we went to as a fire department. So we definitely need to change a lot of the wording in there to make it that we're not the ones that are going to really be the responsible, that we didn't go for this and we didn't go for that. When we need to change that kind of wording in there. And some of the wording in there it's absolutely needs to be changed. And this is one of the reasons why the Charlotte Fire Department, you're not going to be the first one if you decide that you want to cancel a contract. Charlotte Fire Department has given them a 180-day notice back in August to change these kind of things. It was a 5-alarm fire that you remember probably in South Park, sometime at the beginning of the year. Medic expected them to keep going to medical calls. They didn't want to take it on by themselves. They probably had 30 fire trucks there trying to stop a fire in Inferno from going from place to place to place, to building to building, and it's time to step up and do your job. That man over there does his job with his police officers. I have my crews doing my job, and we just need you to do your job. You're in charge of the medical calls for this county. Nobody else. I'll help you as much as I can, but they have to be the ones responsible. We talked about a little bit about this, where's our tax money go? It goes to the police and fire. Medic, again, will send you a bill, doesn't matter what you call them for. They're gonna send you that bill. The next slide is what, I'm gonna ask you to hold your jaw up, because this is a little bit different. So it costs the Huntersville Fire Department or the town of Huntersville $1.6 million to put EMTs on that truck to cover responses that they send us on. In return, they give us $100,000. That's it. It's an actual, I'll call it disgrace. You asking us to put EMTs on that truck. So when we hire people, we went and hired 18 full-timers. We had to make sure they all had their EMTs. If we didn't have to go on all these medical calls, I would still say, hey, let's put some ENTs. It's great to know medical care. I mean, shit, something happens today, I'm here, right? I know the medical part. It's nothing wrong with that. But if you want that service and you want us as assistants, pay for it. Come up with some money. $100,000, that barely covers the bandages I used and probably the fuel. And that's the God's honest truth. So in conclusion, me and Anthony, our great town manager, have attended many medic meetings. He's asked for the numbers. Show me the numbers. How long does it take to get a medic truck to our town, our citizens? And for 2 years now, we have not heard a single thing. Cornelius is town manager, Davison's town manager, Pineville's town manager. We all sat in the same room. We sat there with the county reps. They will not give us any of those numbers because they're ashamed of those numbers. They don't want to tell you how long it takes. If you ask me today how long it takes to get to Dan Boone's house, I'm going to say our average response time is 6 minutes. I know it. I know off the top of my head. Every good chief or executive, he probably knows how long his police officers take to get to certain areas. They don't want to release those numbers. And I think that's disgusting because he's a town manager and he should be able to tell his citizens and tell this board, this is how long it's been since these medic trucks are coming into our areas. So I wanted to give you a brief, that's pretty brief, I understand that. But the only way we're going to get the numbers that he wants, making sure these fire trucks are there for fires and emergencies at the same time. But I don't want you to think that there's going to be, oh my God, we're not going to have any fire trucks on medical calls. What we want to do is change some of the call types that the fire truck doesn't go on. If you fell down 2 days ago and your foot hurts, I don't want to send a fire truck to that. I understand you can't maybe get to your car, maybe there's nothing wrong with that. But you don't need a fire truck and $1 million fire truck sitting there with 4 people babysitting you for the next 20, 30 minutes and while we're waiting for the medic truck to arrive. And those are the type of calls I want to change. I'll be there for you when you have heart attacks and diabetic emergencies. Dr. Swanson, who we practice under, excellent doctor. He has changed the way we've done things. Before, we couldn't even take the blood sugar off somebody in 2017. So he's made advancements that EMTs could do more and more and more. Like I said, patient care, top notch. The men and women that arrive with ambulances and fire trucks, they're going to provide you the best service. But it's a shame that when one of his officers call for medic, they don't get medic. They get a fire truck. They send us out there to go make sure his officers, who are law enforcement officers, hey, do they really need a medic truck? I mean, you don't need to send a fire truck for that. If he asks for a medic truck, he should get a medic truck. The officers that were even shot down in Charlotte months ago, they didn't get medic trucks. There's a little bit of a system broke. I think we need to be part of the Charlotte canceling the contract to work it out and make it better. That's only because as we go forward, we're just going to get busier. And if we're stuck putting our fire trucks on these not needed medical calls, I think it's a shame. I think we could try and change things. I think a lot of other towns will jump on with us. Thank you.
Board, do you have any questions for the chief?
First of all, thank you very much, Chief, for the overview. I'm sure the board has a number of questions. Again, the issues are patient care, response times, and canceling the contract. At this point, we are going to look in the future at patient care and response times. But what we're trying to do tonight is get everybody to agree to cancel the contract so we can start to enter into negotiations. And I'll have some closing comments.
So if we do move forward with canceling the contract, then what? What happens to our response times? Because we've heard horror stories from this dais, and there's nothing more, that's really important to get medic to a resident in an emergency, and we're having terrible response times, as you said. So if we cancel, then what?
Once you cancel the contracts, which I hope we do, we sit down with medic and we take what they call the medic holds off of these contracts. That's what they're holding this against us. That's where they hold the call. They wait to see if a fireman thinks that Miss Clark needs to go to hospital. And that's what's causing the long delays. A police officer that calls for medic, they hold the call. It's called a medic hold, and that's wrong. If you dial 911 right now, they're going to say, police, fire, medic, you should get one of those services. You're a taxpaying citizen. You don't send something that's not needed. So you never see a delay in service from those apparatus out there. They're going to go until
Your fire trucks will go.
we're going to go. Whether contract, no contract, we're going to go. If they dispatch us, we're going. But we need to change the contract to make the service better.
Okay. Are there alternatives to, like, are there other competitors that we can go to for this?
No, the county runs the ambulance service, so everything's underneath the county and the hospitals. Now, Davison has had it such hard times that they wait 30, 40 minutes. Davison's probably got the worst, that they sometimes would get an ambulance from Iredell County.
Do you think that our renegotiation with this contract could potentially put more pressure on them and help with service times in the future?
Yes, it has to. It has to help. Because once we get rid of the medic holds, that means they're coming when we're going. They're not just sitting around waiting for the firefighter to get there or the fire truck to get there and say, yes, Ms. Clark needs to go to the hospital. Now that they're coming with us. And I think when a contract's in the Huntersville Fire Department Incorporated's name, and Emily, she may agree with this, that it needs to be in the town's name. We're a municipal fire department now. I mean, that contract, I mean, it should be, whether it's voided or we just need a new one. So when we need a new one, this is the time to make the changes that are needed.
Any questions? Commissioner Bergsman?
Sure, thanks, and thank you, Chief DeToli. Excellent presentation, sobering presentation on an extremely important issue. I just have a few questions. The way that MEDIC is currently structured in Mecklenburg County, is there any similarities with other counties in North Carolina?
Us being the biggest, it's hard to compare us to anything else. It's kind of like comparing the Charlotte Fire Department to other fire departments. They do what is called priority dispatching. You tell them your foot hurts, they'll start sending a medic unit to your foot pain at your house. But if another call comes in and that's a higher priority, that ambulance that was coming to you drops off and goes to the higher priority. That's where the fire truck is sitting now with you for 20, 30, 40 minutes while the next ambulance comes up there. So the only way we can really change things, the way they dispatch or the way we're sent on those calls is that we just can't deal with the contract anymore. We have to give them some notice.
And the other thing, can you kind of walk us through, so when supplies, oxygen, or, whatever you need to carry, medic-related on fire trucks, how does the reimbursement work for that?
So every call that we go on, they send us $20 and I think 50 cents, medical-wise. There's also a $1,000 fee added to that for the month. The crazy part about this was that's for the whole town. So when we had the Gilead Fire Department and North Meck Fire Department or North Meck Rescue, they were receiving $1,000 a month plus those subsidies. Gilead Fire Department was receiving that. So when we merged all into one, thinking we're doing the right thing, those subsidies went away. So now you expect us to run a town apartment with $1,000? I mean, some of the costs of medical supplies is outrageous, and that's why you see that we're only making $100,000 when it's really about $1.6 million that's costing. Now, we're looking at the people that are on those fire trucks. We're looking at the cost of diesel fuel. We're looking at the cost of supplies, and we're also looking at the cost of maintenance. When the majority of a good amount of your calls might be medical, we're looking at all that. So we didn't want to give Mr. Walsh, some numbers that it was like, this is crazy. We didn't even include the fire part. This is just for medical calls. There we go now. Yeah.
Board, any other questions? Okay, so we have a motion.
Just make a comment. Then.
Yeah.
This town has made a strong commitment to public safety over the past year. We authorized the funding and creation of a full-time fire department for our town. We also added 10 net new sworn-off police officer positions to our police department. Our work is not done. Tonight, we're starting to make changes on the third leg of our first responders, which is medic. This is not a service directly controlled by the town. While no system is perfect, we believe there are some improvements that are needed. We will continue to work with our county partners looking for ways to improve patient care and response times. With that, I'll make a motion. I make a motion to cancel the contract for first response services with Mecklenburg Emergency Medical Services Agency as amended June 30, 2018.
May I have a second?
A second.
Any discussion? Commissioner Bergsman?
I just want to say one thing, and I have a spouse who works in the healthcare field, so this is also an area that we've been very familiar with. I have personal experience of delays with medic, and an incident that I experienced a while back. I would just want to say I support canceling this contract, that we have to prioritize reliable emergency services and ensure our fire department's resources are respected and reimbursed appropriately. I believe it's a good first step towards that goal.
Any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor, please raise your hand. Any opposed? All right, the motion carries unanimously. Item 10B, consider decision on petition R24-06, Rosedale infill. Mr. Richard?
Good evening, Brian Richards for the staff, and at this time I'd like to put our staff report into the record. Just a quick recap, this is the location located in Rosedale. Currently this parcel is vacant. As you can see here in the aerial, the applicant is proposing 4 townhomes. As you can see here with frontage upon an urban open space, they are asking for a modification to front upon that urban open space. The planning board did recommend approval on November 20th. Staff would also recommend approval with a conditional note stating that the urban open space is designed and kept to the standards as shown in the drawings and in their conditional rezoning application. And I'm here to answer any questions as well as the applicants are here as well.
Any questions? Commissioner Rivers?
Are you able to come up? I'm sorry. Thank you.
Sure.
Sorry.
I'm Joe Roy.
How are you, Mr. Roy? And I do apologize. My throat is a little scratchy, so please excuse me. I see where in the report that you were looking at possibly, or it was introduced as an affordable, one of the units being an affordable housing unit.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you mind expounding on that a little bit, or?
I'm happy to. The plan, if you're looking at it there, we believe it's going to be Unit 2 that we would designate as the affordable unit. It's either 2 or 3, one of the interior units. And when I really got serious about planning these townhomes at this location, I've been trying to do affordable. I've been trying to do affordable through our company. Been in business 27 years now, for at least probably 17, 18 years. And I'm not kidding you. There's so many roadblocks to being able to pull it off. So it's been very frustrating. Mostly what I've encountered has been zoning issues, UDOs that just did not make it financially feasible and even physically feasible. So I saw this as an opportunity to do it, to test it. There's a big push on, especially in North Mecklenburg, for affordable housing right now. And we've almost got a little momentum, a little bit of energy. So I proposed it here and then thought before I actually filed a rezoning petition with staff. I mean, I went back and forth. Do I tell them right now? or do I hold it? You know, I didn't know how the neighbors were going to respond, and I'm like, I just, you know, when's the best time for me to tell y'all that I'd like to do affordable? I believe I spoke to the mayor and Mayor Pro Tem early on, just my interest in doing it. So I hope that's kind of answered. So I do intend to follow through with that. Yes, ma'am. Sorry for the long answer.
No, you're good, thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem Hunt?
A follow-up question about the affordable unit. What would the process be if someone wanted to apply for it?
I don't know all of that very well right now. I honestly don't. I've got an individual out of Mooresville that is kind of helped a little bit. I met with her about a year ago, I guess, Sonny, in Mooresville, and then just recently kind of ran some financial scenarios through her, which were very frustrating. Because when you're trying to do affordable, you think it's going to work. You think the dollar amount is, right now, we think the value of that unit is $250,000. To me, and I believe every individual in here would say, dang, that's affordable. But when you put interest rates, just some of the the things that you responsibly have to put on top of them, it's not so affordable. But I got encouraged today from talking to another developer that does some affordable housing. He gave me some valuable information that I think puts us in a position to make this happen, and not, candidly, not for it to come out of my pocket too much further than I'm already willing to do. I feel like I'm making a strong gesture here. And that was what was kind of a little disappointing for me. But anyway, I'm encouraged, and I could share more with you on that later. But as far as qualifying, I don't know just yet. I'm sorry.
Okay. I know there's some intention for the new units to join the HOA. So would the attainable unit have a subsidized HOA fee?
No.
So they would be paying the full fee?
They would be paying a full HOA fee.
Can I ask what that is?
I mean, I believe it's under $200.
Gotcha. Okay. Is that monthly?
Monthly, yes,
Monthly.
I'm sorry, monthly.
Okay.
I know, that sounds like a lot, but I mean, that is what, I don't know what Rosedale's current HOA dues are right now. That is if we are kind of standalone. I'm hoping that theirs is a little lower, and that we can sit down and join and help them, and but those HOA expenses are responsible, or mostly responsible reserves that most homeowners don't set aside for roofing, painting, and then there's lawn care and some other insurance.
Yeah, okay. The resident who came up here and spoke, he asked about the fences. Are you going to be able to install the fences for privacy?
We do have a plan for fences. I don't know if we have it on our plan, but we do have a plan to do that.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Quarles?
It was a good segue when you mentioned lawn care. The resident mentioned maintaining and taking care of the open space for quite some time.
Yes, sir.
Do you plan on conveying that open space to the homeowners association?
I'm fine doing that. I am. Yes, sir.
Demus?
Okay, so you own these two lots with the Ansborough Square lot, and it's been confirmed that for at least a number of years, the HOA has been covering the cost of that maintenance. It also looks like there was some tax delinquency. Is that all taken care of at this point?
No.
So what does that mean if that property gets transferred? What happens then?
I believe the tax debt would stay with the entity that it goes to.
So that makes it a little convenient for you, yeah. Okay. So I guess this is a question for our lawyer potentially. So we can look at a rezone on property that hasn't been paid up to date on.
Oh, no. Excuse me. This property is paid.
But the center lot isn't?
The center lot is not.
Okay, then
I
I'll
don't-
rephrase my question. So we can do business with a corporation that is not up to date on taxes and 100% of their properties?
So if I'm hearing him correctly, the property that is subject to this rezoning request is not delinquent on taxes.
Correct, but others of the same company are, and that doesn't matter?
The taxes on other properties are irrelevant to this rezoning
Okay,
request.
thank you. Okay, so there is currently a fence on that corner property that is in question at this moment that the HOA put up because they thought that they owned the land, correct?
I do not know the answer to that. But I'm not trying to be vague, that they put the fence up or that they didn't know that they own the property?
So in looking, in the discussion from the other meetings, yes, the fence up in this corner, yeah, so there was some conversation about the walkway to the mailboxes and whether or not we can do that. And in one of the meetings, the comment was, well, the HOA put up this fence so that it would prevent people from walking through this property. So I guess, my concern is if the HOA hadn't been maintaining this property, what would it look like today? And I have concern over the fact that other properties of yours are delinquent. That can't be considered in this case, I understand that now. Would you consider putting in a walkway to the mailboxes?
I've expressed this before. I'm fine doing it. I just did not believe that it was really in everybody's best interest to put a walkway.
So how would they get to their mailboxes without a walkway?
You can draw or can't. I'm guessing this is the way I believe they go to the fence right now. I mean, if there is a fence there, then I don't know. We don't see a trail going through the property right now. So I'll put stepping stones if it really, I just think that you're gonna have more people coming from the service alley into the community. And if y'all all want it and then they want it, I'll do it. I just didn't think it was really, I thought it was one of those things that if you did that you might regret. Because it is a service alley, and I've heard negative comments about what goes on in that alley. I think that you'll have more people coming in versus walking out to the sidewalk, out to the mailbox. But honestly, it's not that I'm being rigid. Every time I've brought this back up, I don't get a consensus on what I should do.
I feel like the residents have been fairly clear that they're looking for a walkway, but I'll move on. So can you show me where the mailboxes are in here? I've driven around, I've seen pictures. Can you just circle that for me, just for my information? Okay, all right. And is that for the other residents too, like the other buildings on the other side too, or is that just for the buildings next to the mailboxes?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure if that's all 32 or 33 mailboxes.
Okay. It's for
It's for everybody.
Okay. I might have more questions. Oh, Brian, I did have a question for you. Is it in the plan for adding a fence for privacy? You said
It is
wasn't
not in
sure.
the plan, but that's something that's easily
You
added.
can add, okay. All right. I may have more questions, but I'll hold off for now. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I just thought of one. There was question on whether or not you'd be doing hardy plank or brick, and that's gone back and forth. I know last I saw was hardy plank. What is it at the moment?
It's hardy plank,
Hardy plank.
yes.
Commissioner Bergman?
Yeah, well, there's a lot right now. So I'm going to start with one of the questions I didn't have. So this tax delinquency thing is brand new to me. Does anyone want to provide a little bit of explanation of why this is being talked about and what it entails?
I personally wanted to know because I thought it might impact I wasn't aware it was just the one property. I thought it was both, and I was wondering how and why we were able to discuss this if it was delinquency and taxes.
I didn't even know that there was one. So is it on the open space, the urban open space?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, yes.
Okay, so on that topic, I am curious, like if we would have a motion that had if there was a condition to pass that land to the HOA, did I hear correctly that the debt or the tax would also pass to the HOA?
So to be honest with you, this is the first that I'm hearing about any of the tax delinquencies. I do not know the details. I don't necessarily feel comfortable giving you a definitive answer when I do not know any information about this.
Okay.
If the property has delinquent taxes and it's foreclosed on, then obviously a foreclosure is going to dispel any tax debt.
Okay. I guess for the applicant, what is your plan to help resolve that situation?
Let me explain. I really don't want to take all your time with this. But so when I developed the community 20-plus years ago, our engineer of record for the community suggested that we had impervious credits. We had more open space in this project, exceedingly more open space on this project than was required, and that we could possibly sell those credits to another developer in Rosedale if they ever needed those credits. We never got a phone call for those credits. And quite honestly, we kind of forgot about it. I'd moved offices, locations several times, and the entity that owned it, we had shut that entity down, I don't know, 15 years ago. It wasn't bankrupt or anything. It's just it's a process of when you're no longer using an entity, you close it out. So at some point, and I can't tell you when, but it was like, oh yeah, so we do have a tax debt there. I reached out to Mecklenburg County Real Estate and to Jack Semino at one time and said, Jack, can you tell, because Mecklenburg County kept acting like it had a value. And I'm like, it has no value. I have no entitlements. I have no development rights. It should have a zero value. I had Jack Semino write a letter to Mecklenburg County saying it had no entitlement rights. Didn't matter to Mecklenburg County. They said you still owe real estate taxes on it. And I just basically just went into a quiet dispute with them. And that is honestly where it is still today. So how can I fix it? I do not want to pay the delinquent tax. Certainly don't. I'm more than happy to deed the property over. I've asked at least probably 2 real estate attorneys if I deeded it over, does the debt stay with me or this entity that I once owned? Or does I believe, we just don't have a way to prove it. I believe that Mecklenburg County probably leaves it alone. I mean, washes it. They certainly couldn't put, I mean, I'm not an attorney, but they certainly couldn't put the debt onto the new buyer, right? I mean, that doesn't sound, or the new owner. I don't believe that. So I'm sorry for the
No, I appreciate the
yeah.
the transparency. And, I get, things happen. So I do want to move on to my other questions, and this one's probably more for staff. One of the other topics that came up in public comments has been about issues with stormwater and flooding. Is that something that's been brought to the town's attention before, or?
Kevin just stepped out, but not to our knowledge that I'm aware of. There he is.
You're on the spot.
Thank you.
And is that something that you're aware of, or anything that's done utility-wise with this project would help fix?
I suspect it's a maintenance issue. Pine needles clog the drains, and if it's not literally rotor-rooted occasionally, I genuinely believe that's what it is. These courtyards on these townhomes, I mean, they are totally enclosed, and that does happen. For our 4 units, there is substantial stormwater drainage that we will have to construct for these 4 units.
Yeah. Okay.
If the residents did reach out to myself or Mr. Fox, we'd be more than happy to go investigate after the next rain event.
Okay. Sounds good. I have one more question. Let me, just looking back on some of the public comments. I kind of just want to echo what Commissioner Dumas said. I feel, and kind of based on facial expressions in the audience, that the walkway is something that residents definitely want. So I'm just in agreement on, having that be a condition as well.
I just want to say, just specific to the attainable units, that I appreciate you doing that. The town board, as you know, is working on several initiatives for attainable housing. Yes, sir. But you're right, getting across the finish line is a lot harder than it seems. And I just want to thank you. I appreciate your frustration, and this may be the first one we've done in Huntersville.
Right.
Thank you.
Right. Thank you. I really have asked for some encouragement on that, because I think it's more than we all understand it to be. But
yes, no good deed goes unpunished.
So regarding the affordable unit, I do have some worries about the HOA fees. I have thought that the plot of land, it makes sense for it to be developed. We have the green space there. I do believe that property owner rights, you have the right to develop that piece, and I think it makes sense where it is. I worry about 4 units in that spot, and I worry about $200 a month on top of a mortgage. That's 4 times as much as my HOA fees. It's a lot. I don't know. I don't know if that's feasible as an attainable or an affordable housing approach. And I think 4 units is a lot for that corner lot. I don't know what that means. I guess I'm just like, I'm curious what other people think about that.
And again, I don't know the specific numbers, but I think sometimes in cases like this, like it's more expensive. Now I have a single-family home, but I'm sure they're covering insurance. We purchased a townhouse at one point, covered maintenance, insurance, landscaping, et cetera. So a lot of extra fees, if you want to call it that, when they needed to be painted, new gutters, they just did it, but it was part of your HOA fee. So it's a little different than just a standard single-family home.
Any other questions, board? All right. Do we have a motion?
I make a motion to approve.
Just as a point of clarification, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to butt in. I just wanted to go back to the question about the open space. It sounds like there's been a little bit of back and forth about the tax delinquency question. And again, I want to preface this by saying that I do not have the history. I do not know if there are any existing tax liens on the property, but a tax lien does run with the property. And if the county did so choose to foreclose on it, it could go through the foreclosure process and a new owner would then own that property. And the tax delinquency would be, again, would be dispelled by that foreclosure process. But I just wanted to make that clear. So as far as any condition that were to attempt to transfer ownership of the property or request that it be transferred should be taken into consideration.
I make the motion to approve petition R24-06, a request by Iniquity Woods LLC to rezone approximately .186 acres located at 9923 Ansonbury Square from neighborhood residential and traditional neighborhood development to neighborhood residential and traditional neighborhood development conditional districts subject to the following conditions. 1, the modification request to Article 4.11 is approved to allow orientation of the proposed homes towards Ansonbury. 2, one of the units shall be made available for sale or lease as an affordable housing unit for persons earning no more than 120% of the local area median income and published by HUD for the Charlotte, Concord, Gastonia, North Carolina, South Carolina HUD Metro, FMR area for 15 years. 3, all other staff comments and red lines be addressed by the petitioner. The request is consistent with policies LU 2.1, 5.1, 7.1, 9.1, and 11.2 of the Huntersville 2040 Community Plan. It is reasonable and in the public interest to approve the petition because it is consistent with the existing development patterns in the surrounding area.
May I have a second?
To move this to discussion so we can move forward and discuss this, yes, I second.
Just, I wanted to ask as a point of clarification, as there was discussion during the deliberations, did you want to add as a condition of the approval that a fencing plan be submitted to planning?
I also add that the fencing be added to the plan.
That a fencing plan be submitted to planning as a condition of the
Fencing plan be
approval?
submitted to the, as a condition.
Okay. Discussion, board? Alicia? Commissioner Bergman? No?
Did you also want to add the walkway as a condition?
What was just mentioned? No?
That was the fence.
We had a fence.
Oh, that was the fence. Then yes. Can the walkway be added as a condition?
And as a condition, the walkway would be added to the plan.
Okay. Any other discussion? Okay. Commissioner Hunt? Yeah, go.
I'm also pleased that there is going to be an attainable unit here. I kind of wish some of the answers had been a little clearer, but I'm glad that it's in the motion. it seems that you're willing to do the things that the neighbors shared as concerns, the fencing, accessibility, the walkway, et cetera. And I'm also a fan of infill projects so that we're not spreading out and doing some more suburban sprawl. So I just wanted to share that clarification.
Okay.
And also, I apologize because this is being added last minute. We just want to make sure that the motion has sufficient clarity for planning staff to be able to carry it out. For clarification's sake, are pavers for a paved, not paved as in paved, concrete paved, but paver stepping stones okay for the walkway? And is the exact location okay to be determined by planning staff?
Commissioner Coles, is your motion to say that? Yeah.
To add paving steps.
To clarify in the motion that the walkway that is to be added will be composed of pavers.
Pavers versus paved.
And the exact location determined by planning staff.
And is that location be planned by planning staff, determined by planning staff?
Actually, Mayor Clark. Actually,
You want to get it right, everybody. Commissioner Bergman?
actually, I do have a discussion thing. So there are no conditions in regards, and I know there had been some discussions with the applicant about giving or deeding that space over. At this point, I don't think it's a good idea to include as a condition because of all the questions that are out there, and I would hate to do something that would put the current homeowners and the other properties and with the HOA responsible for a lien. But how do you commit to resolving that situation?
We commit to trying to work it out with them. We could never get an answer from Mecklenburg County Real Estate. Yes, sir.
So I was going to say, Mayor, we've looked at the taxes. It shows that there's none due right now. So they'll forgive taxes after so many years haven't been paid. So
That's right.
there may be an opportunity for them to work it out and actually not be any taxes. So I guess what I'm kind of hearing is I think I'm hearing from the board, Joe, if you're willing to work with the neighborhood to see if we could possibly work it out and you could deed it over and there's zero cost to them, maybe a win-win situation.
Not as a condition, though, currently.
Even if we put in something that's like a zero only, if it would be a zero cost, we still couldn't do it as a.
He's expressed his intent
Okay.
at this point.
Okay.
And I'll work with you to see if I can help on the county side.
Okay, are we ready to vote? Commissioner Dumas?
I think it's clear that I had some concerns about this, and I've gone back and forth just sitting in this seat on whether or not I support this. So I agree that the location makes sense, and I'm glad that there's an affordable unit. I will be voting in favor.
Thank you. Okay, all those in favor, please raise your hand. All right, the motion carries. Okay, next, item 10C, consider a decision on petition R24-09, Town Center General Rezoning Request by Derong Huang and Frank Lowry.
All right, thank you. Brian Richards again for the planning staff, here to submit our staff report to the record for R2409, the Town Center General Rezoning. Originally submitted, it included 4 parcels along Gilead Road. As we've heard earlier this evening, 2 of the owners have withdrawn from the petition, so it remains the 2 adjacent properties to the existing North State development on the south side of Gilead Road. So we're asking for an approval of rezoning from neighborhood residential to Town Center General at just over 1 acre. Now you can see along the Gilead Road corridor to the south, you've got a mixture of non-residential uses and some mixed use as well. You can see the properties outlined in red on the south side of Gilead Road. Again, the community, staff believes the 2040 community plan does support the general rezoning in this area, as well as the downtown master plan. During the planning board meeting, we went through a number of uses, and we showed some of the overlapping uses in green, as well as some unique uses that would be permitted in the town center. Some of those are by right, and some of those with conditions. Again, this was a slide introduced after the public to clarify what could be used in the town center district. Planning board did recommend denial. Staff is in a position of support for this. And I am here to answer any questions you have, as well as one of the applicants is here as well to speak, if you have any questions of her.
Board, any questions for staff? Go ahead.
Yes, a few. So there was something mentioned during the planning board meeting on this, and I kind of wanted to get staff feedback on it. Sure. So there, in the 2040 community plan, in the implementation chapter, at the very beginning of that, it kind of talks about a phrase that was used called preemptively upzoned. And I'll read for the audience what I'm actually looking at, where it says, properties should not be preemptively upzoned based on the future land use map until other areas have filled in or the proper infrastructure is in place. Some decisions are complex. Hold on, let me put my glasses on. Some decisions are complex, and it will be up to the town leadership to take a balanced look at both the intent of this plan and the specifics of any site and or proposal before them. So I'm just curious, that phrase, oh, God.
Preemptively?
Thank you.
Yes. That's typically used when a town goes out into an area and changes the zoning. When I first came on to board with the staff 20 years ago, we did just that down in several areas. We upzoned approximately 1,000 acres of land from neighborhood residential to corporate business for the intent of those to develop as corporate business over time. Today, you've got the area south of Mount Holly, Huntersville, adjacent to Mount Holly, Huntersville, and Hambright Road. Those are all turning into the larger flex spaces, as well as the business park that the town participates in off of 115.
Okay, so
I would not consider this a preemptive upzoning.
Okay, you just rushed my question. Okay. Sure. And another thing that was discussed during planning board was what kind of constitutes a oh my God, my words, substantive change.
We'll defer to our attorney on this.
Yes, good evening again. So in this particular instance, we are not adding property to the petition as far as the boundaries go. We are not intensifying the development. We are not adding uses to be considered. We are not adding additional units, et cetera. Those are examples of things that are typically considered substantial changes that would need to have, depending on if it's an intensification or not, possibly another public hearing and another recommendation by the planning board. When it's not considered an intensification, but still a substantial change along those lines, the ordinance does require a deferral of 30 days. However, in this instance, the petition itself is for the same request, and that request is for a very specific zoning classification to be considered. Nothing has changed in that regard.
Okay. And then if we do have the opportunity to ask a question of one of the applicants.
Answer everybody's question. Yeah, hopefully, I'll try my best. I'm here to wanted to say what we're afraid about us to doing stuff here to, I really think we're here to contribute the health growth here towards the town. Really is. Think about it. If you, I have been speaking in a town board meeting, so I'm gonna have my dumpling girls here, right? If even though I'm not able to use it all at the beginning because I don't want to be like a big restaurant here started. I wanted to grow healthily. I don't want to lose a lot of money when I'm not able to come, So even though I'm not doing that, the rest of the space could be like gym.
Is it okay if I ask my question?
Yes.
Okay. So I was just wondering why you were choosing to do the general rezoning process instead of a conditional.
Actually, say before I purchased this property, I was looking for from Mooresville and Davidson, Cornelius, and Huntersville. Even Huntersville were looking for a few parcels here, and I chose that one. I really like the location. So I used to be a teacher. Cross street is a school, everything, and we have a pickleball court there, which I really like it. So, but anyway, so yes, I went to plan department talking to the staff few times. I got the answer said this wrong in town center. So I was be able to do application to change the rezoning. It's already town center, so that's gonna be easy. It only take me about $1,000. I'll say, okay, that may be affordable. But I didn't know so that's what the information I got. This said, but you still have to do, and follow the building code, commercial building code, bring to says change of use. That's what I got the information before I purchased the property. And the property was in a really, really bad situation if anybody familiar with it. So.
Thank you. Yeah, that's the only question I have. Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Rivers?
Is the space that that you've purchased, is it considered operable? Have you had work done? What are you?
I have tried.
Okay.
I have tried actually, because it's roofing is leaking, so I tried, and also the back there. I would really like anybody what I wanted to say. If you wanted to say, it's really, I would say, it's how am I gonna say, really broken. The back is the floor was clapped, and the whole thing. I don't know if I should take some picture to send it to you guys. That's not a problem. So yes, it's a really bad. It's not. I don't think it's livable. Right at the yeah, I have tried. In the front, they used to have two huge overgrown trees. And with the one storm, the trees almost fall over on the corner of the house. I had to do emergency removal of the trees. And also the back was overgrown, way overgrown, bamboos and big trees. And I was able to remove all the bamboos and the big trees last winter. I am doing a little bit at a time. And the bamboo came back. I was like, oh my gosh. So it is very, very hard. So yes, very, very costly. Yes, it's out of my expectation, the cost. Yes.
I love dumpling girls. Love dumpling girls, and I love the idea of a bookstore. So I don't have an issue with the ideas behind this request. I don't believe that general rezoning is the right move for this. I have some significant concerns with this approach and the approval when we don't have plans, we don't have the guarantee of plans in place. And I want dumpling ladies here, I really do. But what if it doesn't work out? What if the cost to the house is too much and you end up selling and we've approved it as general rezoning or as a town center and we don't know what comes back? You know, like there's so many what ifs for me on this that I have significant concerns. I guess like because of the vagueness of general rezoning, I've struggled with coming up with a motion for denial. And I feel like I need more information on that. I asked the lawyer this morning, our lawyer this morning, about the approach on that. And I've really struggled today with how I don't believe this is the right move, but I feel like because of I feel like my hands are a little tied, and I would like to defer so I can get more answers to what we can do and get more answers on what general rezoning looks like if we want to deny the petition.
So you are concerned it's not going to work out and then going to be sold, right? I'm here guarantee I'm not sell this property because it's my dream to have my own restaurant. This is going to be the OG. Yes, I will try if I don't, you don't know me, if I'm doing something, I'm doing it. I have to work until it's successful. I'm not gonna quit. That's not me. And so I was even thinking about it, sell my primary home to fund this one, and the top, I can move on the top. Restaurant here, the gym here, I live on the top, and go to work, pick up in the morning, and work in the restaurant, open at 11, close at 7:30 or 8, and rest on the top. We have so much fear here. I feel like it's very negative spirit here. I really wanted to say we have some positive energy here. I really encourage you, we all have some positive energy here, please. If we're gonna grow this town, because I also, the reason I choose here, also I saw, saving Huntersville. As Huntersville is changing. I have seen a lot of changes happening. Really, yes. That's why the reason I choose here. But when I come through this thing, you feel like a very negative. I was very surprised in the last board meeting. I was here, had a little speech. I was really excited. But I feel really negative here.
Commissioner Rivers, do you have a question?
No, I don't have a question. I don't want you to feel as if we have a negative spirit or that's what it is. I think it's just a genuine concern.
I respect that.
Yes, and I think we just want to ensure that we want to revitalize downtown. We want to make sure that we're doing it right, So I think that's just where it is. And again, we definitely are. I like dumpling girls too,
Thank you.
So, and I understand about having a goal and a dream in mind, but we just want to make sure that how we're doing this is proper and decent and in order for everyone. So I definitely don't want you to feel like it's a negative spirit. So I just wanted to kind of.
I definitely hear, yes, I wanted to have some support. It is already for small business, already have a lot of financial burdens. We are really trying very hard, and I'm asking for all of you here to support. And also, it is a great healthy contribute to the town.
Mayor Pro Tem Hunt?
I have a couple questions for staff.
Okay.
Thank you. Brian, can you elaborate on the costs between general rezoning and conditional rezoning, like the price differences there?
Sure. For a general rezoning, it's a map that the staff can generate and a $300 fee that covers our legal costs for advertising. Conditional rezonings, I've consulted with some local engineers, and they say they pretty much start around $30,000 and go up from there.
Okay. And just a clarifying question, does general rezoning require site plans?
It does not.
Okay. And then lastly, can you talk about noise and light ordinances that, essentially prevent some of the concerns that we've heard, whether it's, noise or lights or whatever?
Sure. We do have a noise and light ordinances in place. In the zoning ordinance, Article 8.26 covers light and light trespass. It does not restrict hours of operation, except for there's another section that deals with sports lighting, and those do need to be terminated by midnight. But again, when it comes to lighting, light will be focused downwards. We don't allow uplighting or outlighting, so everything has to be down and contained on each individual property. Regarding the noise ordinance, I do sound amplification equipment and the use of sound amplification equipment on public streets or in private properties which produces a sound which is cast upon the public streets, sidewalks, or for the purpose of commercial advertising or attracting attention to the public to any sound or structure is prohibited. So again, if that's occurring, we would reach out to the police department and they can come address the situation. Sure.
Commissioner Quarles?
As a retired small business owner and entrepreneur, I am pro-small business. But in my opinion, I think general rezoning does not give us a balanced approach. I don't think it's smart growth. I believe that as we revitalize our downtown, the town should have more say with conditions and what we should have downtown. Want to be very careful. So with that, I am pro-small business, but I couldn't support general rezoning today.
Commissioner Bergman?
Yeah, one more question. This one's probably for Emily. So general rezonings, as we've said, don't require site plans. So that, because I've struggled with this, that cannot be a condition for, or a reason for denying. Is that correct?
Correct. Our ordinance does not require a site plan for a general rezoning, so that would be an inappropriate reason for denial.
Okay, and then what about, give me a second. All the talk about, because there's a lot of, very valid questions about why is this not a conditional rezoning, but that is also something that we cannot use. Like if we had a desire for this to have been a conditional rezoning instead, that's not a reason that can be used in this type of situation.
Our ordinance allows for a request for general rezoning or conditional rezoning.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Walsh?
As we continue to look for opportunities to revitalize our downtown, I think it's important to examine the impediments for those looking to start a new business in Huntersville. This is especially true for our small business community. What does it really look like from their end? When the cost of entry is a $30,000 conditional district rezoning process, which takes months to go through with no sense of whether this board will approve, what's the message to our small startup businesses? This town board should be encouraging small businesses to open up here, providing them with a predictable path towards our goal. I will be in support of these two small business owners and would like to see them make our downtown their home.
Davis?
Gosh, I want to do that too. We heard in public comments, there was the storage unit that had, that neighbors and residents weren't in favor of, but we were able to negotiate an opportunity because it was conditional rezoning to make everybody happy. And we have longtime residents in downtown that I believe every property in the town center should be town center zoned. Like, I do. I believe these two properties should be town center zoned. But those residents should have those longtime residents, those residents that have been here for forever, that they should have an ability to say, but I want a fence, or I want a bigger buffer, or I want the lights to be lower, and I feel like that's only fair. I do have a question, though. Why, if we have general rezoning option and a conditional rezoning, why would anybody go with conditional rezoning if, it costs that much difference?
It's choice, it's a business choice for them.
But general rezoning is so much cheaper and very vague, and it gets us very little to compare to our policies and decide whether or not it's a fit. So how does that benefit us?
So Commissioner Dumas, I would like to jump in at this point. A question is, why would someone opt for a conditional rezoning versus a general rezoning? Keep in mind that with a general rezoning, the applicant cannot receive any modifications to ordinance requirements, meaning that every ordinance requirement has to be satisfied and met with a general rezoning. Whereas with a conditional rezoning, individualized conditions can be added to the site plan, giving them modifications and relief from certain ordinance requirements, which is why there is an incentive in certain instances, depending on the property to be rezoned, to seek a conditional rezoning so that modifications to ordinance requirements can be applied.
Okay.
Ultimately, no ordinance modification can be applied in a general rezoning.
Okay.
Commissioner Brisman, you have another question?
Not a question. I just was going to ask Mayor Clark. It sounds, there is a motion. I'm just, I know. I mean, I have a motion that I am prepared to make. It sounds like we're kind of having a line between discussion and questions. So just kind of looking at the board to see if we're ready to hear a motion and discussion.
I will allow the board to continue to ask questions until we're ready for a motion. Commissioner Quarles, let me go no more.
I would like to defer. I would like to have more time to review the opportunity. I am still unclear and unsure how to make a motion to deny this petition, and I'm not in favor. And so I would like time to review that in greater detail. I would like to defer.
Would you like to make a motion to defer this to date certain?
Actually, then, I'm sorry. Apologies.
January, to make a motion to defer this to a date certain, which could be January 7th? Okay, so can you make a motion?
Yes, I would like to make a motion to defer this to January 7th.
And is there a second?
Can you include the time and location, please?
6 p.m. at Town Hall.
Do I have a second?
I'll give you a second.
Commissioner Quarles is seconding. Any discussion?
Yes. Oh, sorry. I'm still, just because I didn't get an opportunity to actually say my statement, so I will say it now, because this was my item. And this is a really tough one, and that's why I want to make sure I get the opportunity to say this before we vote on a deferral. Downtown revitalization has been a stated priority. The two properties in the application are not isolated. They sit in an area already identified by the 2040 Plan and Downtown Master Plan for growth and activity to promote small businesses and a vibrant, walkable downtown. On the other hand, it is our job to take a balanced look at both the costs and gains of both sides. It is our responsibility that whichever way this vote goes, or a deferral, we work both now and in the future to mitigate the costs of the decision. If this is approved, what are the costs? I believe there are two main categories of concern. The first is potential disruptions to residents. The second is unknown or unintended future uses. Can these be mitigated? TC zoning allows businesses to operate later into the night. The town has a noise ordinance, and there is also an existing beer garden that is open until 10 p.m. across the street. I would like to have a discussion at one of our meetings in January to explore possible text amendments to tighten up the zoning district, because these concerns can be addressed through legislative tools that would help with some of these issues without halting progress on revitalization. The other main concern is unknown future uses. What I know is that both applicants currently own the properties in question and plan to open small businesses. We don't have official site plans, but that is not a requirement of general rezonings. One owner plans to expand their successful and popular food truck business into a brick-and-mortar restaurant. The other one wants to open a bookstore cafe and serve both alcoholic and non-alcoholic drinks. And I'll be honest, when it was 4 properties, I absolutely did not support this application, and I agreed with the planning board's recommendation at that time. Now that it has been narrowed down to 2 applicants, I'm more comfortable with the oversight that already exists through our permitting process, administrative reviews, and ordinances, even if the identified use and owner changes at a future point in time. So those are some of the costs for voting for the rezoning, but there are also costs to denying it. Here are multiple. A denial could further delay or halt efforts to breathe new economic vitality into downtown Huntersville. It could reduce the town's ability to attract the businesses we want in our town core. We could lose momentum on efforts to increase community gathering spaces in the heart of Huntersville. Those third places like bookstores, cafes, bakeries, co-working spaces, and restaurants where people can gather, connect, and build relationships. And finally, a denial would reinforce the perception that Huntersville is unfriendly to entrepreneurship and locally owned small business initiatives. And that's where I will stop.
Any further discussion of the motion to defer?
I'm just going to reiterate something Commissioner Bergsman was saying. Conditional rezoning is expensive, as we heard Mr. Richards share, and it can be really cost prohibitive for small business owners. Part of the 2040 plan and downtown plan is to attract new businesses. And asking for conditional rezoning can effectively filter out some small business owners through that conditional rezoning process, and they wouldn't even have the guaranteed approval. I think it's also important to point out there are market limitations to what can go on these parcels, meaning that there are things that simply wouldn't be supported in those locations. And additionally, as we've heard, there are protections in place for neighbors, including light and sound ordinances, buffer setbacks, et cetera. So I would be in favor.
Okay. Commissioner Rivers, you want a discussion on the deferral?
No, but I just wanted to make a comment.
Okay.
Everyone else has been able to.
Go ahead.
This process has been difficult. I do want to ensure that what we decide to do with downtown Huntersville is in the best interest for the town of Huntersville and everyone. I just feel like with the general rezoning, it's very vague. I feel as if we're left to question what projects are being placed there, and without having site plans or just being unaware of what we're getting, that is the reason why I would have not been in favor of this at all. So whether it was 4 or 2, I'm still not in favor of this general rezoning at this time.
Okay, so our vote now before us is on deferring this this hearing and vote for us to January 7th at 6 p.m. at Town Hall. All those in favor, please raise your hand of deferring. What? Commissioner Coles, Commissioner Bergsman, you have a question?
I'm just curious, because it does sound like, there's some on the board that definitely don't support this application. So can I just have some clarity from other commissioners, like what is the purpose of the deferral?
I worked on a decline motion, and feel like I need to ask more questions and have more clarity as to where we are able to make that motion for general rezoning. I feel like what I learned today was that there's very little, because of the general rezoning application is super vague, that when compared to our policies, there's not a lot for me to say in comparison to and to put into the motion. So if today I would make a motion to deny, but I don't feel like I'm able to do that.
Okay, yeah, I appreciate that. And that's what, before we voted, I kind of wanted to hear a little further explanation from others for the reason for the deferral. So, thank you.
Okay.
And I'm okay with that then.
All right, let's restart our vote. All those in favor of deferring, please raise your hand. Commissioner Rivers, Commissioner Dumas, Commissioner Bergsman, Commissioner Quarles. All right, so the motion carries that this project will be deferred to January 7th.
Right, see you then.
Thank you. Okay. Item 10D, to consider a decision on petition R24-05 Hillco Skilled Nursing Facility.
Good evening. So I just want to go through and do a quick refresher of R2405. This is a conditional district rezoning located in the Huntersville Business Park to be rezoned or just modified from the corporate business zoning district to campus institutional conditional district. And it's for a skilled nursing facility or a congregate care facility. And here's the site plan that was displayed and discussed at the public hearing last time it was before the board. So just some updates since the public hearing. The applicant has clarified several of the notes that staff was working with them on, one of which was to confirm and make a commitment to build the open space, the alternative frontage that they are proposing to build and is shown on the plan. Just a footnote on there that they have started talking to the adjacent property owner. There is some good results on that. Nothing formal has been submitted to staff, but it's moving in the right direction, it sounds like. So that's going to get worked out, it sounds like. Also, the applicant has agreed to build a portion of the greenway along their frontage when the actual greenway is constructed and the project is underway. They've agreed to build the conceptual elevations and restricted the uses to only permit health, institution, and congregate care facilities as staff recommended. So staff recommends approval with conditions that the minor site plans comments are addressed from staff. The planning board also met in their regular November meeting and unanimously recommended approval as well. So that concludes my presentation. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Commissioner Rivers? No. Okay. Any questions, board? Okay. Are we ready for a motion? Okay.
I make a motion to approve petition R24-05 Hillco Skilled Nursing Facility, a request by Novant Health, Inc. to rezone approximately 13.9 acres from corporate business to campus institutional conditional district. The request is consistent with policies LU 1.1, LU 5, LU 6.1, EOS 3.1, and LU 8.2 of the Huntersville 2040 Community Plan. The petition is approved with the following conditions. 1, the requested modifications are approved, and 2, the developer shall address all staff comments and red lines. It is reasonable and in the public interest to approve the rezoning petition because it further diversifies the uses in the Huntersville Business Park, focuses development in a location that can support growth, adds approximately 160 high-paying medical jobs to the community, preserves 84% of the specimen trees on site, adds significantly to the tax base, and adds to the public good for the town by participating in construction of a town greenway.
And may I have a second?
Second?
Any discussion? All those in favor, please raise your hand. Any opposed? The motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Item 10E, consider a decision on petition R24-08, a request by Stephen A. McLean to rezone approximately 0.591 acres.
All right, so let me just scroll through here. My apologies. All right, so R2408 is another general rezoning that is requested. So again, the property in question is currently zoned corporate business, proposed to be rezoned to neighborhood residential. So from commercial to residential, in the location here just north of the Veerhoff Drive extension, north of Commerce Station there, right behind the small commercial building that's zoned NC as you're going down south on Highway 115. So again, there's the property in question highlighted for you. It's immediately next door to other residential homes. So the applicant has worked with the town and actually purchased the property from the town. The property that's owned, labeled CB there, is actually right-of-way for the Veerhoff extension. The parcel you see highlighted was additional land that was reserved for that right-of-way, but was not needed, and they purchased that parcel from the town. So they would like to use that property as a residential use. The 2040 plan does, again, show that specific parcel to be employment center. So technically, it's not consistent with the 2040 plan in the future land character area that's shown there. However, with everything on that side to the north of Veerhoff Drive Extension being residential, it more matches the character of the area, honestly. And so staff therefore supports the rezoning, recommends approval of the rezoning, and also recommends approval of a change from employment center from the 2040 plan character area to moderate density residential. So it matches everything north of Veerhoff Drive there. Planning Board in November, again, recommended unanimous approval of this rezoning as well. So staff recommends approval with that modification to employment center to moderate density. Be happy to answer any questions that you have.
Board, any questions? All right, are we ready for a motion? Okay, may I have a motion?
Yes. I make a motion to approve petition R24-08, a request by Stephen A. McLean to rezone approximately .591 acres from corporate business to neighborhood residential. The request is consistent with policy LU 2.1 of the 2040 Huntersville Community Plan. It is reasonable and in the public interest to approve the petition because it is consistent with the character and uses adjacent to the subject property, and the entire property will be classified as neighborhood residential.
May I have a second?
I second.
Any discussion?
Can I get just a point of clarification? Would the town board be willing to recommend also making the change from the 2040 plan to employment center to moderate density residential to make that consistent?
Yeah, yes.
I add to my motion what Brad just said.
Thank you. That works for me.
Okay.
I can second that.
Okay, all those in favor, please raise your hand. Any opposed? All right, the motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item 10F, consider appointing 2 members to the Huntersville Firefighters Relief Fund Board of Trustees. Ms. Huffman?
Thank you, Mayor, members of the board. What you have before you tonight is a request to appoint a couple of town employees to the Firefighters Relief Fund. Because there are several appointments on your agenda, we want to take a minute to distinguish for you what's different about these appointments to a Board of Trustees versus the advisory boards that are the next items. So the Fire Relief Fund represents tax distributions that go to the Fire Relief Fund. The funds must be overseen by a local board. The statute that created this fund says that we're required to have 5 members of the board, 2 of those Board of Trustees. 2 of those members of the Board of Trustees are required to be appointed by the town board. Once those 5 members are seated, they have to choose a treasurer among those 5 people, and they have to make certain certifications of how they're spending those funds to the state. Those funds can only be spent for the purposes as outlined in the specific statute. There are about 5 purposes that they can be used for and no others. Those are not town funds. They can't be, they're not required to be approved in our budget because they're not our funds. They don't go into our general fund. The treasurer must submit that annual report to the state. We're requesting that you recommend that you appoint 2 town employees. So these 2 names are our current safety and risk manager and one of our firefighters. These 2 gentlemen have more than 50, honestly, I think more than 60 years of firefighting service locally here in Mecklenburg County. They're both town employees. Ideally, they would be, one of the 2 of them would be chosen to serve as treasurer, who'd have access to the finance department, who would help with that reporting requirement. Happy to respond to any questions that you have.
Board, any questions? Ready for a motion, Commissioner Walsh?
I think we have to start by nominating first.
You have to
yeah.
nominate, yes, sorry.
I'd like to nominate David Moore.
All right, Commissioner Rivers,
I would like to nominate David Moore and Mark Alton.
Commissioner Dumas,
I'll nominate David Moore and Mark Otten.
Mayor Pro Tem Hunt,
David Moore and Mark Otten.
Commissioner Quarles,
David Moore and Mark Arden.
Commissioner Bergman.
David Moore and Mark Alton.
Now may I have a motion, Commissioner Walsh?
Make a motion to appoint. I make a motion to appoint David Moore and Mark Otten to the local Firefighters Relief Fund Board of Trustees, called the Huntersville Firefighters Relief Fund Board of Trustees.
May I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please raise your hand. Any opposed? The motion carries unanimously. Item 10G, consider appointing 3 members to the Greenway Trail and Bikeway Commission. Mr. Jaycox.
So we have 3 3-year terms to fill, received 13 applicants, and 2 members have reapplied for new terms.
Rivers, can I have your nominations?
Absolutely. I would like to nominate Michael Griffin, Ken Stewart, and Leif Sturmo.
Commissioner Rivers? I'm sorry, Commissioner Walsh?
Same 3.
Sorry about that. Commissioner Dumas?
Same 3.
Mayor Pro Tem Hunt?
Same 3.
Commissioner Quarles?
Same 3.
Commissioner Bergman?
Same.
All right. May I have a motion to appoint the members to the Greenway Committee?
Motion to appoint Ken Stewart, Michael Griffin, and Leif Stormo to the Greenway Trail and Bikeway Commission.
May I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor, please raise your hand. Any opposed? And the motion carries unanimously. Okay. Item 10H, consider appointing 3 members to the Parks and Rec Commission. Mr. Jaycox?
And we do have all 3 members have reapplied for their expired terms as well.
Okay. Commissioner Rivers?
Okay, guys, this is a tongue twister, so y'all bear with me, but okay, I think I'm saying it correctly, and if I mispronounce your names and you're watching, please forgive me. Kent Curon, Aron Nair, and Patty Reach.
Commissioner Walsh?
Same 3.
Commissioner Dumas?
Same 3.
Mayor Pro Tem Hunt?
Same.
Commissioner Quarles?
Same 3.
Commissioner Bergman?
Same.
And may I have a motion to appoint the Parks and Recs Commission nominations?
I would like to make a motion that we appoint Ken Curon, Aron Nair, and Patty Reach to the Parks and Recreation Commission.
May I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please raise your hand. Any opposed? The motion carries unanimously. Thank you, volunteers. And last but not least, 10I, consider appointing 3 members to the Public Arts Commission due to expiring terms.
Yep. So we have 3 3-year terms to fill with 2 reapplying for new terms.
Commissioner Rivers, may I have your nominations?
Of course. I think I'm just going to start this off. Ed Eisenhart, Leonard King, Nathaniel Culp.
Commissioner Walsh?
Same.
Same.
Commissioner Dumas?
Same.
Same 3.
Commissioner Bergman?
I can make it different, but same.
All right. May I have a motion to for the Public Arts Commission nominations?
I'd like to appoint Ed Eisenhart, Leonard King, Nathaniel Culp to the Public Arts. I'd like to make a motion to appoint those 3 members to the Public Arts Commission.
May I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please raise your hand. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. We'll, item number 11, closing comments. I'll start on this end this time. Commissioner Bergman?
No comments.
Commissioner Quarles?
No comments.
Mayor Pro Tem Hunt? Commissioner Dumas? Commissioner Walsh? Commissioner Rivers?
Happy holidays, everybody.
You stole mine. Yes.
to the board members, to the staff, to the residents. You all have a happy holiday and enjoy your family.
Yes, thank you. I wish the same for everyone for happy holidays. Thank you to all the volunteers who recommitted to our various commissions and committees, and we appreciate your service to the town. And so now may I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
May I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please raise your hand. Any opposed?